Okay, let's talk about why change feels unsafe to your brain and how to work with it. So, if you've ever set about to change something in your life, your habits, your mindset, your direction, your goals, and then you find yourself like mysteriously resisting or procrastinating or self sabotaging, this is for you. Because what looks like laziness or a fear of success is usually something much deeper because you're not broken, you're not unmotivated, you're not missing discipline. You're just working against a part of yourself that is wired for who you used to be and not for who you are becoming. And that's why change often feels very unsafe, even when it's good for you. So let's unpack this very gently. The truth about why change feels so hard. Change is asking of you to loosen your grip on what's familiar. Like it's going to require that you step outside your comfort zone, even if the familiar isn't working anymore. So, your habits and your routines and even your self image form, it's almost like an internal safety system. So, wherever you're at right now, like you might be telling yourself a story, this is who I am, this is the way that life works, and this is what keeps me safe and okay. So, whenever you try to do something different, like think differently, act differently, show up differently, it can trigger inside you. It's almost like an invisible alarm system. It's going off, and the alarm's saying, hang on, you can't do this. Hang on, where are you going? This is new. Are we actually safe? Like, where are you taking me? And so your old identity, the version of you that survived, everything up until now, feels threatened by your next chapter. Okay. If your next chapter requires that you change, because your next chapter requires that you let go of old patterns that kept you safe in the past one, even if the safety felt really crappy. And letting go, even of pain and perfectionism and people pleasing, still feels like a loss at first because it's so familiar to you. And that's why change never requires just willpower. Okay, it requires self reassurance. Okay, so the reason why we at an identity level resist change is every time you repeat a behavior, your brain links it to who you are. And so it almost like turns into these little self statements like, well, I'm the kind of person who puts others first. I'm not the sort of person who follows through. I'm always busy. I hate conflict. Okay, little stories that we tell ourselves. And so when you start to break those patterns, your brain thinks, great. Okay. No, it doesn't think, oh my gosh, oh, we're just upgrading. She's going to go and do something completely new. It's thinking, wait, but who am I if I don't do this anymore? This is who I've been all these years. Change is going to challenge your identity, not just your behavior. That's why it starts to feel so weird and awkward whenever we're trying to do something new. It threatens, like, it's almost like the continuity of who we believe ourselves to be. And that's why when you start growing, part of you resists so much. Not because you don't want that change, we could want it, okay, but it feels so uncomfortable, okay? It's almost like protect the old version of you, okay? Even if that old version of you was living and existing in a terrible, crappy place. But the good news is that you do not have to fight that part of you anymore. You get to lead her. And so I'm going to offer you a very gentle reframe that's going to change everything for you. You can actually stop fighting yourself and start working with yourself. So instead of telling yourself this story, like, why do I keep on ruining my progress? Ask yourself, like, what part of me right now feels really scared or unsafe about the next step I'm about to take? Okay, that is going to be a question that changes everything. Because suddenly it's not about me versus the world or me versus me. It's about how can me, the old version of me and the new version of me, work together? Learn to work together. Because when you stop treating your resistance, which is natural, as an enemy, becomes feedback. You recognize it, it's there. It's telling you exactly where your fears live and where your self trust needs strengthening and where your reassurance is missing. So you don't have to conquer your resistance. You've got to comfort it. Okay, don't try to like, why am I resisting? It's normal, it's natural. So, how do you work with your brain instead of against your brain? First is obviously normalize resistance. Stop assuming that feeling resistant means that you're doing something wrong. Okay, it usually actually means that you're on the edge of growth. Okay, if you're resisting something, you could be on the edge of growth. Growth doesn't feel like motivation, my friend. Okay, sometimes it feels like, or oftentimes it feels like discomfort mixed with doubt, and that is normal. Why don't we speak about that enough? When you grow, you're going to feel uncomfortable and you're going to doubt yourself. Normal. And the next thing you're going to do is add safety before speed. So most people like try to push through change. They go all in and they overhaul everything, or they attempt to, and then they burn out because their inner system just wasn't ready. Instead, I'm going to recommend that you build safety before intensity. Ease your brain into those new experiences with one small, consistent action that doesn't trigger overwhelming you. And then you can work on updating your identity in small ways. Instead of waiting to become a new person, okay, impossible, start identifying your behavior, new behaviors now. So you say things to yourself like, I'm learning to follow through. I'm becoming a person who trusts herself. I'm someone who does small things with intention. Okay, very simple sentences that you can acknowledge are all true, but your brain is going to rewire, especially with your thoughts, through repetition and identity language. And I want to make sure that you're not confusing fear with intuition. Fear says, stay the same because it's safer. Intuition says, go this way because it's truer. And they can actually sound really similar when you're growing, like when you're growing and stretching yourself, which is weird because if it's fear saying don't do anything, you're inclined to think that that's the one that you should be listening to. But fear is reactive. Intuition feels very calm and quiet. And sometimes we don't like what it's telling, but I want you to learn to tell the difference. When there's that voice, that little nudge, it's like that's the right thing to do. And then fear can often still come up and say, no. Okay, why is it coming up? Because it's different. Because it's taking you outside your comfort zone. And I also want to recommend that you anchor back to your purpose, not pressure. Pressure says you have to change. Purpose says you're ready to evolve. Okay, so this is the next right step for you. One is draining, and the other one is the thing that steadies you. So keep your focus on what change gives you: peace, possibility, freedom, opportunities, not what it is costing you. And so I want to offer you some mindset shifts to help you embrace change very gently. So no, you're not sabotaging yourself anymore. You were in the past protecting yourself. Those patterns weren't born from failure. They were born from survival. We all experience them, thank them, and now it's time to move on. You can still choose differently. The other thing that I want you to know is that change does not have to be dramatic to be real. Transformation always happens in those micro moments, small, consistent shifts that add up to safety and trust over time. And just embrace this thought that I can expand safely. Growth does not require force. You can stretch gently at a pace that honors you and your nervous system and your humanity, your human brain. And understand that fear is a part of forward. If fear shows up, it is not a stop sign. It's a signal that you're stepping into the unknown, and that is where all new possibilities live, always in the unknown. And remind yourself that you can love, who you are, your messy version of you, the scared version of you, while still becoming who you're meant to be. Change isn't a rejection of your old self, it's an integration. So you get to learn to carry your past self with you, with grace, as you walk toward your future. And so how do you build safety, which is so important during this change? Do the micro steps. Instead of I have to change everything, just pick one small little action that proves that change is safe. And then do it daily. And make sure that you're speaking kindly, compassionately to that scared part of yourself, because you are going to feel scared because it's normal. And so whenever you notice resistance, just say, you're safe, I've got you, I've got your back. Okay, that very simple phrase is the thing that builds internal trust faster than any productivity hack ever will. Always pause before pushing. If you feel dread, it's usually, I would say, a sign that your pace is too fast. Slow down. Okay, it's not a sign to quit. Slow down until you stabilize. And then always make sure that you're celebrating, any evidence of your growth, not just the outcomes. Notice every single moment where you chose differently, where you're a little bit braver, because your brain is going to learn safety through repetition and recognition. And so your very gentle challenge this week is just think of an area of your life where you've been trying to change and you keep on circling back. And instead of asking, or berating yourself, why can't I do this? Ask, what part of me is scared to do this? Okay, and then give that part that reassurance, not reprimanding yourself, it's just normal. And the little new mantra that you can embrace is I'm just learning to work with myself, not against myself. And repeat it whenever you feel that old inner battle start to rise. Because that's how you build that new kind of power, calm, grounded, sustainable growth. And if you want to go deeper, I've created a free guide with 5 thought shifts that will help you stop overthinking and start taking aligned action even when change feels scary. It is simple and kind and powerful. The perfect next step if you're ready to grow very gently. You're going to find the link in the description. And if you want deeper structured support to follow through on what matters most to you without sacrificing your soul or your sanity, every single course that I've ever created, and there's over 90 courses and coaching roadmaps, all can be found inside Inspiring Life Academy, inside my all lifetime access vault. You can find also the link in the description. But as long as you remember that change isn't about becoming someone new, it's about remembering who you were before fear took over. You're allowed to expand safely. I recommend it. It's what works best. You can grow very gently and you can work with your mind instead of fighting it. And when you do, you're going to discover that you were never the problem. You were just protecting yourself from your own potential. But now it's time to meet that potential. One calm, courageous baby step at a time, my friend. I'll catch you in the next one.